What's up guys, Ebi-hime, welcome to part 2. Let's get started. Right then, I get to my feet, groaning theoretically, and rub my back like an old man. The sad part is, it's not entirely an act. I'll be off. See you later. You two, have a nice time. I will. I can't help but think, as I turn to leave the kitchen, that my dad looks an awful lot smaller than he used to. Grayer, shabbier, I don't know, shabbier, sadder. Is that how Hazel sees me? Oh, dude, I am really sick. I'm gonna do my best to still talk my best voice. Just got a running nose, that's pretty much it. You can pretty much hear the voice change. In the summer before I went to university, I went on a picnic with my parents. It was supposed to be a fun family get-together before I moved away from home. My mother had been looking forward to it. It was only a picnic, but she planned it out meticulously. She made sandwiches with various fillings, little pork pies, and potato salad. Alright, I might be a lot of cuts in the video, it just means I went to grab a tissue and blow my nose out. She prepared some asparagus and pea mush for Hazel, who would have been about 2 years old at the time. Her food always looked and smelled disgusting, but she seemed happy enough with it. Our parents loaded up the car with the picnic hamper, picnic blanket, and some games that could be played outside. A frisbee, maybe some quotes. The idea that anybody ever played with quotes sounds ridiculous now. It makes you think of Victorian children in Charles Dickens novels, impoverished little sheep urchins with coal smeared on their faces, wandering around murky, polluted streets. Nowadays, everybody uses computers, YouTube, Facebook, Wikipedia, really? There's no shortage of things to do online, even if you live a tiny Welsh village where it always rains. We didn't get a computer until I was 16, and that was an ugly, boxy old thing by today's standards that took about 15 minutes to connect to the internet. I hardly ever touched it. When I had to do homework, I referred to books. When I wanted to play games, I played with quotes, and a frisbee. Not sure if that's how you say it. I can't believe I ever played with quotes. This must be why Hazel calls me an old man. I know she's never played with quotes. She probably doesn't even know what a quote is. I don't know. A designed picnicking spot was a small lake surrounded by a border of trees, populated with small birds and squirrels. It was a common enough sight in wet, rainy Wales, which has more nature than one could ever need, but it was fairly picturesque, all the same. Don't know how to say that. I used to go there for walks with my parents. When I was young, I'd sail boats in the river with my dad. Sometimes I took bread, hoping to see ducks or fish, but there were never any there. However, one day just started, on that day, it rained. The weather forecast said it would be sunny, but it rained all the same. It wasn't a simple drizzle, either. Nothing that would clear up by itself if you gave it a bit of time. And we did give it time. Believe me, I waited in the car with my parents, Hazel alternating between sucking her thumb and sleeping for 2 hours. The rain didn't let up. We had to eat our sandwiches and little pork pies and potato salad in the car. We didn't even get to play with the quotes. The whole time, the rain drummed insistently against the windows of the car like manicured fingernails, tapping impatiently on a wooden desk. My last summer at home, my last meal out with my family, spent in the car, in the rain. I remember. Though she tried to keep a brave face on, laugh, tell jokes. During the hour-long journey back home, my mother started to cry. Because that's the last time she's gonna see her son or something, and it was like a shit time, you know what I mean? First meeting, I wonder who we're gonna meet. Is he telling a story? I'm not sure if he's telling a story, but wow, that is beautiful. Look at the animation. Look at the animation. Come on, achievement. Yeah. It's just screenshot time and that's it. There's somebody standing on a small outcrop of rock that overlooks the valley. Clusters of dark green trees and a wide expanse of grass, framed by the gentle curve of a road, can be seen in the distance. I start. Surprised, I've never seen anybody else here before. In my rebellious teenage years, when I was jaded and melancholy, I often went there. I don't know if I said that right. I feel like I said that wrong. I said rebellious, but as I lived in a small Welsh village, there wasn't a whole lot I could actually do rebellion-wise, though it's certainly no clubs, and only one pub. Trying to catch alcohol underage would have been impossible when Roy behind the counter was well acquainted with my name, face, and age, being a member of a neighbourhood watch alongside my parents. The only thing I could do was walk, and so I did. I was always going for long, ambling strolls with no particular aim or purpose, thinking, brooding thoughts. Mostly they were about Imogen Parker, and why wouldn't she go out with me? That was about it. I don't know who that is. I'd already grown out of myself obsessed Jack Kerouac, phased by the time Hazel was born, and I stopped going for walks. I keep my brooding solely inside my head now. And yet, for some reason, maybe nostalgia, or maybe some lingering sense of teenage entitlement that still hasn't faded away, I thought this place would be the same as before, completely isolated, except for me and the birds. I click my tongue against the roof of my mouth, and shake my head. I must sound like a territorial dog pissing around lampposts and dustbins. Is that another way of saying territory? I don't know. It's been almost 20 years. Why can't this girl come here? But he's seen her, right? The girl looks like Imogen Parker. Actually, she has the same pale blonde hair, the same slender limbs. I wonder how old she is. She looks about 14, 15. I don't know. I can't tell. I can't see her face. Oh my god. It's too much of a habit. Oh, come on. I need to stop. I guess I should get going. If this girl was appropriated my old brooding spot, I have no business hanging around here. It would look suspect. Anyway, a 34-year-old man like me talking to such a young girl. Yes, you would look like a pedophile. I used to be that age once. Imogen and I fancied her back then. She was only 14. So was I. But I'm not 14 anymore. I've already started walking away when... Hello, mister. I hear a voice. Soft and gentle. Definitely feminine. The girl. Oh, okay. Good, gotta get some screenshots for the thumbnail. I look back over my shoulder. My eyes meet hers. They are light blue. Not like Imogen's. Then, her eyes were dark green. Well, of course her eyes don't look like Imogen's. They're not the same person. I'm being stupid. What is it, miss? Miss, I wince inwardly. I sound like I'm in secondary school again, addressing a teacher. Either that or trying to chat her up. I hope it doesn't sound like I am. I hope it doesn't sound like that. Am I being too smarmy? Did I say it? I recognize you, she says. You do? I ask. It seemed unlikely. I haven't been back here in so very long. And she's so very young. Maybe she's mistaken me for some celebrity. A singer? I have to snort at my own self-indulgence, as if I look like a pop star. The girl nods briefly, her head barely moving. Her long hair flutters in the breeze. Yes, from the funeral. The funeral? Of all things she could have said, I didn't expect that. Never seen this girl before at a funeral. You knew my mother? You mean Mrs. Crowther? She asked, blinking. That would be my mother's maiden name. She kept it after she married Dad, though I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because Dad's last name is a little strange and people always pronounce it wrong. Evelyn Crowther. Most people called her Eve. Yeah, that was my mom, I say. Oh. There is a small silence. Oh. The girl coils a strand of her hair around one finger. Her light blue eyes look at the horizon aimlessly. Eventually, I'm the one who has to speak. The silence feels too heavy, too oppressive, too overwhelming. Oh, why do I keep clicking that? I don't know why. I don't know you went to the funeral. I didn't see you yesterday. No, well, I'm not a family member. I sat at the back. I thought it might have been rude to turn up at all, but I don't suppose Mrs. Kofa would have minded. No, I don't suppose she would have. She was beyond minding at that point, I think. Yes, I'd say that's a reasonable assessment. She was my English teacher, you know? She suddenly says. Ah, I say, nodding my head. I understand. It all makes sense now. I should have figured it out sooner. When the girl started referring to my mother as Mrs. Crofer, that's an oddly stilted, overly formal way for a young girl to refer to anyone, unless that person is in a position of authority. I wonder if my mother's other students attended the funeral. I bet she was a popular teacher. She's always been so smiley. She doesn't get mad or upset very easily. At least she didn't. Did you like her? I asked. I liked her a lot. She was very kind. She was? The girl looks at me, her expression admonishing. You should know. She was your mother. I laughed awkwardly, trying to avoid her gaze. I guess I just wanted to know what her students thought of her. I was interested in a fresh perspective. And you think that matters now? If you really want to know more about your mother, shouldn't you have tried to find out before she died? She has a point. In her words are certainly pointed. I feel like I've been pricked by thorns. This girl, with her serious frown and cold, hard eyes. Like Imogen Parker. It's uncanny, though she can't be Imogen. Who is she? Is it normal for a girl this young to talk so impudently to a man far older than she is? Doesn't she feel any shame? Didn't her parents raise her better? Maybe her bold attitude is a result of the internet. A whole generation of kids born into a land of silver screens and computer monitors, iPods and iPads, and I don't know what else. I've never been very good with technology. I guess that's true. I was just curious, I say. Well, I like Mrs. Crofer. She wasn't like the other teachers, she says, frowning. She seems to do that a lot. I haven't seen her smile once. Maybe she doesn't have much to smile about. I don't really blame her. She does live in Wales. She said we could call her Eve. It was pretty cool. None of the other teachers were that informal. That sounds like Mum, alright. But at the funeral, the priest kept calling her Evelyn. Nobody called her that. That's what my sister said. She thought it was disrespectful. It was disrespectful. Human life is a very important thing. You'd think of a priest of all people would be a little more considerate. The girl looks riled up. It's the same kind of anger my sister showed yesterday during our all too exciting game of Risk. At least this girl doesn't cry. I wouldn't know how to deal with that. Patting her on the head would be too infantilizing. Hugging her would be out of the question. What were you studying in English? I asked, trying to change the subject, not because I'm really interested, but because I don't want her to burst into tears on me. I'm a coward. I know. A hopeless coward. But at least I'm upfront about it. It's more than most people can say. We were doing Of Mice and Men by Steinbeck. Is there any other? I guess not. I'm just surprised. Why? She asked. It's why I studied at school too. And that was about, I frowned, trying to calculate the years in my head. Doing so is depressing. How did I get so old? 20 years ago. Jesus Christ. I'm surprised I haven't changed the syllabus the government's always fiddling around with the education system. Pardon? The girl tilts her head to one side. She looks confused. I guess she doesn't keep up to date with the news. I don't really blame her. It's mostly dull, dreary, and downright depressing. Still, she's a member of the so-called computer generation, isn't she? What are kids doing with the internet? How can they be so ignorant when information about almost everything in the world is available right at their fingertips? Watching X Factor and uploading pictures of food onto their online blogs, most likely. The government keeps talking about changing the education system, that's all. I thought they'd change the set text on course 2, I say. Oh well, a small pause. No matter how much time passes, good literature will remain good literature. Even if they change how schools are run, they can't change the content of the stories we study. That was a carefully measured response, and I thought my mother only taught students in the lower sets. I guess you're right. I liked that story when I was young. Me too. It was even more fun with Eve. Why? What did she do? She did funny voices when she read the story to us. It really brought it to life. She did that with me when I was a kid, too. She always reads books to me. That must have been nice. What? Being read books. I would like that. Nobody reads books to me. Not your mother or father? No? They're not around very much. Neglectful parents, is it? Maybe that's why this girl's sitting in my old moping spot all by herself. I'm curious, but I worry it would be rude to ask. It's none of my business. You're a lucky person, you know? She suddenly says. Her light blue eyes are almost eerily wide. Excuse me, madam, do you have a map? It's just, I got lost in your eyes. Is the kind of thing no self-respecting adult should ever say. Especially not to a teenage girl. Why did I think that anyway? Forget it. I'm pretty good at forgetting things. Cassandra said the official name for that is repression. She said it wasn't healthy. I beg to differ. Lucky? I ask her. I think so, she replies. You have many things to be thankful for. Like what? Your family. You should cherish your family. My mother died last week. She choked on a muffin. There are worse ways to go. She says it so casually it makes me blink. How would you know? I just do. I've seen a lot of things. She has such wide eyes, I wouldn't disbelieve it, despite her grandiose claims. However, the fact remains that she's only a child. What's your name? The girl stares at me unblinkingly. The moment seems to last forever. How did my innocent query provoke such a long string of ellipses? It's not like I ask her the circumference of the moon or its distance to the sun. What a strange girl. Lily, she finally says. Excuse me. My name is Lily. Okay, I knew that. I kind of knew her name was Lily. Alright, well, V-I-I, so that's... Is that 7? Oh god, I don't know my numeral numbers. Welcome home. Hey there, Hazel. I shrug off my coat with a groan and place it on the stand by the kitchen door. It's getting pretty late. Around 7 or 8. I don't know how I managed to pass so much time just walking, I guess. Walking and thinking. Meeting that girl in my old brooding spot gave me a lot to think about. I don't know why, but I keep replaying our conversation over and over in my head. She knew my mother. It also seems like she knew my mother better than I did. It's funny how this world works. Funny, and a little bit depressing. The kitchen is in a state of disarray. Hazel stands by the cooker, a frown on her face, crossly surveying a pot of cooking pasta. Maybe she's trying to prevent it from boiling over with the power of her mind. Wearing that apron, her hair tied up in that messy ponytail, she looks a little like a newly qualified primary school teacher, dazed and confused. Wow. I didn't know you could cook, Hazel. Well, I do go to uni now. I kinda have to be able to cook. That's what she says, but she doesn't sound very confident. Nah, you don't need to learn how to cook at uni, I say, with a dismissive wave of one hand. Just order a pizza or make toast. Isn't that what you do? Hazel giggles and gives me a wink. You got me. Of course I did. I know you're just lazy as I am deep down. Hey, I'm not that lazy. I do play netball, you know? I know. She does more than I ever did. My memories of university are hazy, diluted with alcohol. I could hardly manage to crawl out of bed earlier than 1 in the afternoon, let alone join any of the sports team. I'm just curious, I say. Why are you cooking if you know you're not good at it? Well, I don't know if Dad's in the mood, and he's never been very good at it either. An extra sentence, unspoken, hangs in the air between us. He never had to be. Mum was the one who did all of the cooking. I was stupid to forget it. Look, Hazel, do you want me to help you? You would? Yeah, we're living in the 21st century. It's positively medieval, pushing all the housework onto you because you're a woman. Well, I guess that's true, but are you sure you can handle this much? It's only pasta. I'm sure I'll manage. No matter what Cassandra said, I'm not completely incompetent. Hazel laughs and gives me a salute. Okay then, you're the boss. Wait, was that her saying it or me saying it? Or the guy? I lie in my old room, in my old bed, and think. The room is exactly the same as I remember it being before I went to university. It feels like a time capsule, unaffected by the changes of the recent years, sealed in beryllium and placed beneath the earth. My old model planes, painstakingly put together with my father when I was 7, are still displayed on top of my bookcase. The novels I used to read, worn and well thumbed, are lined up on the shelves. I'm sure if I opened the wardrobe, all my old clothes would be there, hung up on their hangers. I could be a teenager again, just 18 years old, lying awake and worrying what university would have in store for me, wondering what London would be like. I'd been to London a couple of times before with my family. Once we went to see Cats, another time, so we went to St. Paul's Cathedral. I'd never stayed at London for months and months on end, however. And as it transpired, London wasn't nearly as exciting as I hoped. There are a lot of people, historic buildings, and a huge variety of shops. But when you are a poor university student, you don't have enough time or money to take everything in. Forget it. I'll try to forget it. My mother died last week. Her funeral was yesterday. Why am I still thinking about myself? That's what Cassandra said when she broke up with me. She did it over the phone. She was in tears. I couldn't see her face, but I knew I could hear it in her voice. She said I was selfish, that I only thought about myself, that even though she tried so hard to comfort me, I wasn't trying at all. I'd never heard her shout before. It wasn't frightening so much as it was confusing. It must have been because Buddy died, a nervous breakdown. It wasn't really my fault. I didn't kill a stupid dog. No matter how I toss and turn, I can't get comfortable. I keep thinking about that strange girl, Lily. She said I had a lot of things to be thankful for. Does she think I'm selfish too? Why do I care so much anyway? Is it because she looks like Imogen Parker? Is that really it? Imogen was my childhood sweetheart. I really liked her. And because I liked her, I thought I should tell her. The rest of this memory is painful. I don't like thinking about it. Suffice to say, Imogen didn't reciprocate. I don't know how to say it. My feelings. I was left alone, broken hearted, feeling slightly betrayed. Whoops. Is that why I keep thinking about this girl? Because she looks like Imogen? But she isn't Imogen. And she isn't Cassandra either. Lily. She's called Lily, I mutter under my breath, as though trying to reassure myself. Maybe I am. I just don't know. What a depressing. I think he's living like I think he's just depressed, you know what I mean? Doesn't know what to do. Curse. Alright. This is a beautiful background, I gotta say that. Lily is waiting for me when I return to my old brooding spot for the following day. She inclines her head, hair fluttering in the breeze, and greets me. Hello again, she says. Oh, my voice. Hello. I stammer in return. Why did I come back here? What am I doing? Did I really want to see her again so very badly? If so, isn't that kind of pathetic? I must look like such a fool. Or worse. Hey, mister? What? She looks at me for a few moments, unblinking before. Are you a lonely person? I start surprised. This girl is good at surprising me. She must have a talent. No, I'm not lonely. I say perhaps a touch too defensively. What makes you think that? Your mother died last week. Well, I suppose that's true. Even if it was rather blunt. That would make me lonely if you're lonely, I understand. Do you? She nods. But I thought you didn't like your parents. I say, though it sounds more like a question when it falls from my lips. I wonder. How was I able to remember that? I dated Cassandra for 5 months, but I was never able to hang on to the small details. Little things about her, bits and pieces she dropped into the conversation, escaped from my mind in moments, just like dead goldfish down a toilet. Her favourite wine, her shoe size, her fondest childhood memory, her mother's maiden name. It all vanished without a trace. It's not as though I dislike them, says Lily, frowning. It's hard to like or dislike somebody if they're never there. That's all. She finishes with a small shrug, as though that really is all. As though she doesn't care either way. About her parents, about me, about anything. I sigh and take a seat beside her, the foliage rustling underfoot. Alright, what's going on here? That sounds sad, I say, as though I expect her to care about my opinion. I don't think she does, because she shrugs again. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't have much of an opinion of them either way. So, why did you say that you'd be lonely if your parents died? I meant it hypothetically. If my mother were as nice as yours? You really like my mother? She was my favourite teacher. I was sad when she died. I was sad too. It'd be strange if you weren't. You are her son. True. Is this some kind of competition? Is he trying to get one over on me? But even so, I already knew, says Lily. Huh? I reply intelligently. I seem to say that a lot around this girl. Huh and oh, 2 fallback phrases. I don't know if I used those 2 syllables this much around anybody else before. I try again. What do you mean, you already knew? Exactly what I said. You knew she was going to die? Lily nods her head. But how? Her response is maddeningly simple. I just did. But her death came completely out of the blue. It's not like she had cancer. That's a terrible way to go. I know. Wait, I don't know who's talking, that's the thing. I know, that's what Grandma Rose had, lung cancer. How dreadful. Did it last long? Long enough, 6 months. That must have been tough. I'm sure it was. I don't mention that and I was only 4 at the time, and I don't really remember the details. What does a little girl like Lily know about cancer anyway? Could it be... I've been to a lot of funerals, she says in a matter-of-fact manner, as though preempting my question. The people I know all seem to die at some point or another. It makes me wonder if I'm cursed. Did one of them die of cancer? I've seen a few people die of cancer. It isn't pretty. A few? What does she mean, a few? This teenage girl, who knows nothing about politics or government reforms, knows an awful lot about death. It's almost alarming. Just because she's in the lowest set for English, it doesn't mean she's stupid. Just because she doesn't keep up to date with the news, it doesn't mean she's ignorant. She sounds wise beyond her years. Maybe that's why she doesn't smile. I didn't smile much when I was her age, either. I got tired of all the funerals. I can relate to that, I say. I've been to a lot of funerals in my time too. Grandma Rose, Grandpa Len, Great Aunt Henrietta. The priest kept calling her a family friend Ruth, who slipped in the shower on a holiday in Spain, and of course, my mother, Lily's English teacher, Evelyn Crowfar. But please call me Eve. Oh my god, this is pretty sad. Maybe we have more in common than I thought. Funerals are sad things, she says thoughtfully. It would be odd if they were cheerful. This isn't what I mean, says Lily, shaking her head. There are always so many people who attend funerals. Family members, friends, extended family members, friends of the family, work colleagues, people who aren't really friends but feel they should come along, or it'd look rude. But, she sighs, I think it's rude to go along if you don't really care. If you're not really sad, that's far, far more disrespectful. You think? I say. Yes, human life is precious. It deserves to be mourned. Everybody means something to someone, no matter what they've done in their lives, no matter what. If you go to a funeral and you don't really care, if you go for the sake of manners and not for your feelings. Lily narrows her eyes. What's the point? You're not respecting the person of their life. Instead, you're turning it into a day out, like a trip to the zoo. People should care. Why don't people care? I start to feel uncomfortable. I shift, but I can't dispel my doubts. At Mine's funeral, Hazel cried. Dad cried. Even Great Aunt Enid cried, dabbing at her eyes with an old handkerchief. But I didn't. I couldn't bring myself to. It all seemed too staged. Somehow, too fake. Too hollow. Too empty. The too tight black suit didn't help. Why should you get dressed up to go to a funeral? It's not as though the corpse will care. They're long past caring. But maybe it's about respect. Maybe it's about doing these things regardless, because you love that person, because you want to make them happy, even if they're not around to appreciate it anymore, even if it is illogical. Is that really why? I'm 34, but there are a lot of things I don't know about the world. I'm tired of going to funerals. There are always so many funerals, says Lily. That's because there are a lot of people in the world, I tell her. Everyone has to die at some point. I know that, but I don't know why it has to be so sad. Do you often feel sad? Sometimes. I think it's inevitable, given the world we live in. You mean Wales? No, that isn't what I mean. I mean the whole world. The whole world is always raining. Even when it isn't, it doesn't stop. I can't help but smile at this. It sounds like she's reciting a poem. A bad poem. Is that one of your own? What do you mean? What you just said, did you make it up yourself? Lily looks at me dubiously. I think she's trying to figure out whether I'm poking fun at her or not. I guess so, she replies after a pause. What about it? Oh, nothing. I was just thinking, you're a natural. You could be the next William Wordsworth. My compliment falls on deaf ears. Lily looks unhappy. I don't like Wordsworth. You don't? No, I think his poems are self-indulgent and patronizing. I laugh. To tell you the truth, I think that as well. You do? Yeah, I can't stand him. Then we're in agreement, says Lily, a small smile spreading across her face. It's a gentle, genuinely happy smile that could make anybody's heart flutter. Even mine. She's hanging out with a 34-year-old person. Wouldn't that be weird? Wouldn't it? It's getting late, says Lily, with a touch of ruefulness to her tone. She's right. The sky is a soft, gentle yellow, with light orange peeking out through the clouds. The sun is setting. If I were a photographer, I'd want to take a picture of this moment, preserve it for posterity. It's too bad I don't have a camera. How much time have I spent here, sitting in my old moping spot, alongside this girl? How did the time pass by so quickly? Must have been lost in my thoughts. I must have been lost pretty deep within them, traversing a vast, subterranean cave of subconsciousness for the time to slip by so quickly without my knowledge. Aren't you going to go home? Lily asks. She's acting as though she's the parent and I'm the child. You are, man. Make sure you don't stay up too late. It's bad for your skin. Remember to eat your vegetables. Yes, even the broccoli. And don't talk back to me, mister. My mother used to say those kinds of things to me when I was young, but she was always accompanied them with a smile. Lily, however, isn't smiling. Shouldn't you be going home first? You're younger than I am, I retort. Does that make a difference? I wouldn't be acting like a responsible adult if I didn't tell you to take care of yourself. Are you a responsible adult? That's a good question. One I don't know the answer to. What does being responsible even entail? It's not as though my parents will mind, says Lily. Nobody cares if I'm come home late. She sounds melancholy, resigned to her own fate of being ignored and uncared for. I feel like I should comfort her, but I don't know how. I can't even begin to imagine how she feels. I've always had a loving family, a cheerful mother, a slightly overprotective father. I think I might have to choose a choice here, because I'm just gonna save it right now, guys. I really am lucky, aren't I? She gets to her feet, dusting off her skirt, and turns to face me. So, Mr. Responsible Adult, will I be seeing you again tomorrow? Do you want me to see you again tomorrow? That doesn't matter. This isn't about me. You're lonely and you have nobody else you can talk to. Aren't I right? I let my voice chair off. I don't know what to say. You'll come back. I know you will. That's what lonely people do. You're lonely too? Of course I am. Everybody is. Some people are just better at hiding it than others. Even Wordsworth? Even him. You've never met him. I don't have to. I think you're making some pretty big assumptions here. It's not an assumption, it's fact. Like saying the sky's blue. It isn't right now. You know what I mean. You know that I'm right. Is that so? I think I don't bother saying it. I think I know what she'll say in response. That is her.